individuals often make decisions for themselves about options they will consume. However, as you have learned in this class, social influence plays a powerful role too. One particularly powerful form of social influence comes from those in our families. When studying group and family decision-making, marketers are often interested in the different roles that group members play in the consumption process. These roles typically fall into the following 8 categories. Let's take the following example of a family deciding where to go on vacation. So first we have influencers who, by their name, influence the purchase decision. This top one here. Often children influence purchase decisions even if they're not the one making the final purchase. For instance, young children may heavily lobby to go to Disneyland for a family vacation. Next, we have gatekeepers who control or influence the flow of information regarding a purchase. So for instance, by searching for options or information about different vacation options. Maybe this person looks into the actual cost and logistics of getting to Disneyland versus, say, Disney World. The decider makes the final decision regarding a purchase. This is the person in the family who says, yes, we are going to go to Disneyland for vacation. Now, this is not necessarily the same thing as the buyer, the next on the list, who engages in the actual transaction or purchase. So the person who gets out his or her credit card and runs the payment on the website perhaps, or over the phone with a customer service agent. The preparer prepares the goods for use. And this is usually more relevant in the domain of physically consumed products, but could be the person who helps everyone pack for the trip. The user uses the purchased goods or services, and in our situation, this would be everyone in the family who is actually going on the trip. Lastly, we have the maintainer and the disposer. They're more relevant for the context of physically consumed goods, such as if a family purchased a play set for children. Who takes care of it, the maintainer, and who decides it's time to get rid of it? So why does this matter? As you learned about the consumer decision-making process, different information is more relevant at different stages of the decision process. For instance, information designed to incite interest or awareness versus information designed to trigger action. If your research reveals that teens typically play the role of gatekeepers, you're going to want to target information about different options in a way that appeals to them. For instance, highlight the fun, adventurous aspect of a vacation. Further, if the mother or father is often the decision maker, you're going to want to target information about cost, for instance, to them. Knowing that young children often influence family decisions explains why marketers often target ads to youth. However, the influence that individual family members have differ depending on the product service category, as outlined here in this graphic. We can see that teens do influence spending on a number of goods and services that are jointly consumed. For instance, they influence family spending on things like household goods and furniture that everyone's going to be using, and often food and beverages, which they may or may not be consuming in a joint context. It looks like they're less likely to influence family spending on things like apps and toys and games, and more likely to spend their own money as they're going to be consuming these individually. But you can see how you need to do your background research depending on the industry in which you work to understand the relative influence of different family members. Now let's transition a bit. The categories of consumer diversity covered in Chapter 12, or this last chapter, are often combined with other information, such as household life cycle stage and social class, to provide a more precise segmentation scheme. For instance, merely knowing that someone is Asian American may tell you something about their consumer behavior, but knowing that they live in a household where their kids just went to college and are upper class tells you a lot more in conjunction. Prism Premier is a proprietary set of geodemographic segments for the United States specifically. Prism Premier combines demographic, consumer behavior, and geographic data for marketers. Here's a preview of how they break down different groups of consumers. They have 68 segments in all, are defined according to their socioeconomic rank, including income, education, occupation, and home value. They have different life stage groups, which they base on age, affluence, and whether or not they have children. Social groups are based on affluence or socioeconomic status and where they live, whether they live in a city, second-tier city, suburbs, or small towns and rural areas. Prism helps marketers answer the following questions. Who are my best customers? That is, who are my most profitable, loyal patrons? Where are they located? You can drill down to the block if necessary. And how can I reach them? So what media do they consume regularly? So you can see how this information would be very helpful for marketing activities. Let's just take a quick scan here through some of the different names. They've got very descriptive names for the different segments. The new beginnings, you can get a sense of who this type of person is versus movers and shakers. So after this video, take a moment to watch the video by Prism, linked here below, so you can get an introduction to their segmentation scheme. Though it is proprietary, that is, businesses pay for this information, they have made some information freely available, and you're going to use this during your application activity. So pay close attention and enjoy.